Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and buckle up because today we got some, very corrupt news coming out of D.C. What else would we get, right? As you know, 4 American service members tragically died in a drone strike in the escalating war with Iran. The attack, which targeted U.S. forces stationed in the region, marks really one of the most serious moments of the conflict so far, and it's renewed questions about America's growing involvement in the war. Families across the country are now mourning those losses, and we thank those men for their service. And here's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
War is hell. War is chaos. And as we saw yesterday with the tragic crash of our KC-135 tanker, bad things can happen. American heroes, all of them. And as I have with all of them, as we have, we will greet those heroes at Dover, and their sacrifice will only recommit us to the resolve of this mission. But war in this context and in pursuit of peace is necessary.
And as the conflict unfolds overseas, attention is also turning back to Washington. Why, you may ask? Well, because according to financial disclosures, a Democrat member of Congress made a significant stock investment in a defense contractor shortly after the war began. It's being reported that Democratic Representative Kelly Morrison from Minnesota, I might ironically add, purchased $50,000 worth of stock in a defense startup called Saronic Technologies. Now, the purchase happened 9 days after the start of the Iran conflict, according to the disclosure filings reviewed by the publication. Saronic Technologies is a company that develops autonomous military vessels, and according to reporting from Notice, the company already holds a $392 million contract with the U.S. Navy. So with Americans dying in battle, politicians are trying to profit from the situation. Bottom line, it's war profiteering, and it's truly disgusting. Joining me today is my good friend of the channel here, Ross Givens, and according to him, this trade from Representative Morris is just the tip of the iceberg. Ross has spent nearly a decade tracking congressional and corporate insider trades, legally, ethically, and in plain sight. In fact, Ross is hosting a free live online training event on Thursday, March 26th, at 3 p.m. Eastern, where he'll show you exactly how everyday investors can follow these insider trades themselves. The link is in the description below, or you can go to turleytalksinsidertrading.com. And when you register, you also receive his latest insider trade alert for free, complete with the full write-up explaining who's buying and exactly why he likes it. Ross, my friend, good to see you as always.
Oh, always a pleasure, Dr. Steve.
Yeah, it's great. We had a nice chat before going live here, and we were talking about the geopolitics of the increasingly changing world chessboard. Yes. And you've been doing videos on that on your channel. Very, very amazing stuff for sure. But you and I have talked about this extensively here on this channel, from Nancy Pelosi's $300 million in profits, from insider trading down to other less publicized examples of this in DC. But get everyone up to speed here. Tell us just how bad this situation is.
Well, I think at this point, most people are aware that our politicians cheat the stock market. Pelosi, as you mentioned, was our poster child. And since then, people have really begun paying attention to what stocks Congress buys. And unfortunately, all those suspicions have been confirmed, and we have the data. Members of Congress are not just outperforming the average investor like you and me. They're doing better than Warren Buffett.
Right.
And they've been doing this for years. I mean, I'm not talking about 5 or 10% better. I'm talking about annual gains as high as 149% in a single year. And they're doing this by using information they learn in Washington to make money for themselves. And as you said, it is corruption, plain and simple. But I want to show your viewers the numbers. These are some of the top performers in Congress last year. These are annual returns of their stock portfolio. So Congressman Warren Davidson, 78% return. I mean, Warren Buffett has never done that this century.
78%.
Right. But these are guys in Congress placing trades from their cell phone between meetings. Right. Last year, the numbers were even bigger, up 140%. And unfortunately, as much as I'd love to just pin this on the Democrats, This
Yeah.
is happening on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I see a lot of blue and red there, so it's clearly bipartisan.
Yeah. I mean, the one night Republicans are better at it, if that gives you any help. I mean, the Republicans average about 35% returns, Democrats at about 31.8. But it's everywhere. I just saw this last week. I want to share it with you. As you well know, the president appointed Senator Mark Wayne Mullen to Homeland Security Secretary, replacing Kristi Noem. And I love this guy. I think
Right,
he's awesome, but he's coming under scrutiny and
right,
he hasn't even been sworn in. So what Mullen did, he bought stock in a military defense company called VSE Corporation. And the reason this is being looked at as suspicious is he bought it in February, just a few weeks before these Iran
mm,
strikes began.
mhm,
And
mhm,
as you can imagine, the stock's up, 30,
right,
40 bucks a share since then.
right,
Because when wars start, military starts spending, and VSE is like right in the middle of the supply chain. So, he's not helping. I mean, he's giving Democrats some ammunition here, and they're
right,
asking, and I think they should be asking, did you know something back in February, or was this a lucky trade?
right, right. No, it's fair to ask, and that's I do appreciate that about you, Ross, your analysis. You call a spade a spade. You don't
Sure.
care if they're Republican or Democrat. That's what I really appreciate. But for people who may be newer to stocks and investments, can you
Yeah.
explain how he would benefit from this investment? Why would this VSC company go
Oh,
up because of the war in Iran?
sure. Well, here's kind of their playbook, right? So, VSC Corporation is in the defense logistics space. So they're making
Okay,
parts, maintenance, aviation components, all the stuff the military needs during these conflicts. And so, as these tensions rise, as operations get wound up, companies like VSC tend to see their revenues go up. They make
right.
more money, and that usually causes the stock to go up. Now, maybe it is just a coincidence. And it very well could be. I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, but man, he's not making it easy
Right, right,
because he actually bought twice. He bought once in January, comes in for another 50 grand in February in the dip. That's these two little green dots you're seeing here on the chart. He's not up huge, up 15% or so, but it's only been a couple of weeks and it's probably going a lot higher. But, this thing on both sides of the aisle happens a lot in Washington.
right, right. And you are again, I think you are being fair. This could be a coincidence,
Yeah,
right? Because it's not the only stock he bought.
it's not, but, I mean, there's he also bought Raytheon, which is a big defense contractor. He bought Chevron 4 days before we went into Venezuela
Okay,
and black bag Maduro in the middle of the night. So there's a lot of coincidences here. I
right,
mean, the U.S. military assumes control the largest oil reserves in the world, and you got Senator Mullen pre-appointment. He just so happened to buy Chevron a few days before it happened. I mean, look at this chart, right?
yeah,
So I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I mean, as you know, the silver lining is we can follow these trades. We can see what
right,
they're buying. But the big picture I wanted to paint here is just the advantage they have, and this is what they're
yes,
doing
yeah.
to beat the market by such wide margins every year. I'm
Y-
not trying to
They're
pick on
they're
Mullen.
they're right. Their policies can move the markets, and therefore they can
100%.
position themselves in an advantageous way, in having an inordinate advantage. So, for people who are not as familiar with stocks and investing,
Yeah.
if you can, just break this down
The
for
the
us
big
here.
picture. Yeah,
Yeah,
so, like, if you imagine that you're a member of Congress and you sit on a military, committee, a defense subcommittee, well, these are the guys who decide who gets billion-dollar defense contracts. Now,
right.
most of these go to the usual players, Lockheed, Boeing, Raytheon, right? Raytheon's not gonna go up 500% anytime soon, but sometimes smaller companies win these DoD contracts that are worth tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. And when that announcement happens, when it goes public, these little stocks will skyrocket because
Mm,
it's a huge, it's a big, huge deal for them. And if you knew about these contracts ahead, I'm not talking about Mullen trade, but just in general, if you
just in
knew
general.
about these contracts ahead of time, what the Pelosi's of Congress would do is they come in and buy this stock before the announcement and make a fortune. And so that's exactly what we see happening again and again. As you mentioned, this Democrat out there buying, I mean, just warmongering right after this, buying, warship stocks. But I'm going to show viewers all this Thursday, as you mentioned, the 26th. It's 3 p.m. Eastern. It's a free live training event. And the goal of those is to show people that you can see what these politicians, what these insiders are buying. You can follow along with the exact same trades and make money alongside them. So it's a free event. Like I say, you can get angry or you can, try to get even.
I love, I don't know. I think that's got to be your tagline. Or say, "Don't get
Yeah.
angry, get even," or something like. I could see that. I would assume that some of these stock trades are more obvious, shall we say,
Oh,
than
for sure.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you give us an example of one that would have been easy for anyone to spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got one actually right here. So these are the kind of things you want to look for, right? And these are the ones that are just drop dead easy. So if we take Representative Susie Lee, now, as I mentioned in the theoretical example, Susie Lee does sit on the House Appropriations Committee and the Defense Subcommittee. So two groups that decide where defense spending goes. And last year, she bought stock in a company called Rheinmetall, which is a German arms manufacturer. And here is her official transaction report she filed with the House. And what's interesting about this trade, what makes it so obvious, this is the only stock she bought in over 3 years, the only one. Now, that's fine. She's not a heavy stock trader. Good. I wish they all were. But if you
Right.
buy one stock in 3 years, it's not Apple. It's not
Right.
Nvidia. It's not
Right.
Google. It's
Or Amazon, or
yeah, it's the obscure German arms manufacturer known as Rheinmetall. Kind of
Rheinmetall.
seems like a strange choice, right? Well, look what that stock did over the last year. It's up 306%.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
300. Yeah, so it quadrupled.
It quadrupled. Yeah, and it's just one example. I mean, there's a long history of this stuff. You can follow along. Some of it's dirty, like Representative Earl Blumenauer. He was buying defense company stocks the very day Russia invaded Ukraine. And so the timing on some of these trades is just remarkable.
But is this normal? I mean, how often does this kind of stuff happen?
It actually happens a pretty good amount. I mean, we generally see, that they have to report their trades inside of 45 days.
45
Most of
days.
them do it sooner. And so in the stock market, especially, we see these every week. And the silver lining, of course, that we can see exactly what stocks they're buying. We follow along in our own accounts, and we can actually profit off of their corruption, which I think is the least they could do, considering we're paying their salaries. At least throw us a stock tip here, there, you scumbags. But look, let's break down the numbers. All right, it's clear as day. Members of Congress last year averaged 33% returns in their account. Now, for comparison, the market index, the S&P, returned 16.8, which is a phenomenal year. Congress doubled it. And some of them made 50, 60, 75% returns. Wall Street professionals don't do that well.
Wow.
Yet somehow we have senators producing hedge fund level returns. I mean, what a magnificent coincidence that our politicians happen to be some of the best stock pickers in the world. It's just truly mind-blowing.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you, if this keeps happening,
It will.
and nobody stops it, and it doesn't look like anyone's good, because they're the only ones that could stop it, and I don't see them
Yeah.
doing that. What's the big takeaway for viewers?
It's all public information, right? So you're not going to stop them. They are Congress. They write the laws. They're not going to give away their honey hole. But I promise you, and I've told you this before, it's going to bother you a lot less if you made 30 grand following along in that trade. Members of Congress are legally required to disclose their trades. We can see what stocks they buy. We can see when they buy them. We can see how much they invest, which means we can follow along. We're just piggybacking their trades. And that's what we teach people during these training events we hold every couple of months. It's fortunate we have one coming up this week. It's Thursday, the 26th. I mentioned 3 p.m. Eastern, but I'm going to take everyone step by step through this. You're going to see how to find these filings, how to identify the most important stock trades, how to manage your risk. And the best ones are drop dead obvious. It's like the one I just showed you with Susie Lee. She buys one stock in 3 years at a German arms manufacturer and just happens to sit on this defense subcommittee, right? So these are just the tip of the iceberg. We can also see corporate insiders. We can see when CEOs are buying, vice presidents, board members. We can see those trades almost instantly.
Right.
We bought a pharmaceutical stock last year for 40 cents a share because 11 people piled it in a week. Dr. Steve, it quadrupled in 4 months.
Right.
And it's just common sense. Like These people have access to inside private information about they know more than anyone else.
Right.
Congress knows when we're going to drop bombs and pass legislation. The CEO knows how the drug trials are going, when the earnings are coming out, when the mergers, they have such better information. So if you see them all buying all at once,
it's like a cheat code.
Exactly. They're tipping you off. It's completely legal inside tips. So that's what we do. We show people how to find these. I think you mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. When you register, I'm going to send out our latest insider pick for free. You'll get it via email, the full write-up, all the breakdown. So even if you can't attend live, I encourage you to register for that. I promise it'll blow your mind when you see what's available to you. And I think this is the biggest, as you said, cheat code for the everyday investor. So I encourage people to come learn how to do this and frankly make some money off these crooks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will blow your mind. I've sat through many of your teachings, and I've seen this firsthand. Once you understand how this works, it's honestly eye-popping. I mean, serious. The training is free. It's online, happening this Thursday, March 26th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Click the link in the description to reserve your spot, and make sure you grab that free insider trade write-up when you register. I mean, that's gold in and of itself. So, Ross, always fascinating stuff. Like I said, you do kind of boil our blood, but then when we find out that there's a literal silver lining at the end, where we could profit rather than just get upset, that makes it all.
That's the
Thanks
thing.
so much, man.
That's my pleasure. Always good to see you, Dr. Steve. Keep up the great work.
Right back at you. Thanks, Ross.